My name is Cindy, and I died almost 2 years ago. I woke up with a locked in. I think I beat it. I had to exercise, determination, and the best of it. I remember being on porch with the dogs.
I
I
haven't.
remember Nehemiah. That it happened. Was a thought in Nehemiah to where
Nehemiah just left with your daughter and Jacob.
yeah, yeah, and I took the dog's body and was putting body away when I fell and died. That's all I remember.
Well, I remember getting the call. I had started that new job. It was like 11 o'clock. Mom said that you had fallen on the porch, and I figured I figured that the dogs had run you over and that you hit your head. But when I left work, I was thinking, well, maybe she had a stroke. I don't know why I thought that. And I was driving home, and I called again, and Mom was losing her mind, crying, and said that the ambulance was on your way. And she was talking to you, and she put up the phone, and I was talking to you, and I heard you say that you love me, and then you started gurgling. And Mom really started screaming because you stopped breathing. She was saying how there was fluid coming out of your nose and out of your, I believe, out of your ear.
I remember I couldn't see.
Yeah. I remember you said that too, that you can't see. You wanted to get in the RV. And I got here. Well, I drove straight to the hospital thinking you would be there. You weren't there yet. I waited and asked the lady again if you were on the way, and she said that she hadn't heard that you were on your way at all. So I drove back up here, and the firemen were working on you. And Jacob and Dre and Nehemiah were here. Of course, everybody was losing their minds. Then they drove you down to the hospital. Then you had to catch a flight to, you were in a coma at that point. The firemen had brought you back to life and you were just in a coma. You weren't on a ventilator or anything yet. Then they took you to up to Harborview. Got up there. You were in surgery for quite a while. Then the doctor came out and said that you had a hemorrhage in your brain, and that it was a lot of blood. He says there was a lot of blood, and that he didn't know how it was going to go. They just put you together temporary. They cut off the back of your head. He said that they saved as much of your hair as they could. Then he said that just like on a movie, the next 24 hours will tell how things are going to go. And that you would be in the ICU soon, a room in the ICU. I went up there and they let me right in. And then our nurse's name was Hope. Your mom and dad and everybody was there. Everybody was there by now. Because everybody had to get kids, get their stuff. And then they were up there. Everybody was there. Patty didn't leave. Your sister didn't leave. For days. Nobody did. Nobody did. I don't even know what I'm talking about. It's hard to think of it exactly in a logical order because everything was so crazy and stressful. I was trying to make sure that Drea, everybody was well informed and everybody was on board with what was going on. I didn't want anybody to think that we didn't do everything we could do, and I wasn't going to give up. So nobody was giving up. So it was just the first night. Everybody just prayed a lot. Called everybody that I could call to get everybody, and emailed everybody I could email to get everybody to pray for you. With the World Wide Web, so you went worldwide because they all had their people praying for you, and everybody had their people praying for you, and literally you were worldwide. Obviously big enough where God seen you, could see your light, because you laid there, the pressure in your skull was extreme. Your body wasn't getting rid of all the blood out of your head. And there was still a lot left in there. They had to leave your skull off. I'm sure that's fairly normal.
Is that why they put the tent?
Yeah. It was, the whole back of your skull was off. There's some people, they have top of their heads taken off and they wear helmets and stuff. But you didn't have to wear the helmet. But they didn't think you were going to live at all. We just kept getting, the doctors just kept telling us, preparing us the best they could for the bad. They would tell us, something could happen, but they were telling us, explaining to us how bad it was, because it was, there was so much blood so fast that it caused a stroke. It caused a stroke in your brainstem. We didn't know what was going to be left of you at all, but I didn't, I can tell you honestly, I didn't care. And Patty, your sister, she just, nope. She did not give one flying fuck what they said at all. Not at all. I remember that. It was very, very helpful how, as a matter of fact, that she was about it. She just, she's obviously very tore up, but at the same time, she was very strong in saying, "No, it's gonna be fine. It'll be fine." She's pretty on board with that. It's gonna be fine. I had no doubt that it was gonna be okay. I could tell you about all when I sat down in the room, because it was the Rona laws, so you could only have one or two people in there at a time.
Yeah.
Which was, it's good that they let at least one person in there, because if they would have told me no, well, then you'd have had to go to a new hospital, because that it was not going to happen. I don't know how those people did it. They couldn't see their people. Anyway, so I'd sit down and I feel these people just with their hands on my shoulders, and I just knew that I had to fix you if I could just to keep talking and never stop. Make sure that you knew that I was right there. I made sure I looked right in your eyes the entire time I was there. I did not one time look away. And if I had to go to the bathroom or something, I would have somebody else come in and look at your eyes, just in case you opened them for a split second. I didn't want you to think that you were alone. I wanted you to know that we were there. Because I figured you'd be scared to death if you opened your eyes and didn't see anybody. You know how you get about not seeing me.
You were the first one I remember seeing.
Oh, I didn't leave you. I didn't. I would, we woke up 4.5 days later, almost 5 days later, and it was just like a movie, like a real legit movie. I went in there and I kissed you good morning, and I said, "Morning, time to get up." You opened your eyes. And I was like, "What the fuck?" So I ran out to the nurse's station, and I was like, "She opened her eyes. She opened her eyes." The nurse is like, "Oh, they do that." I said, "She's never opened her eyes." I said, "She's awake." Oh, man, they all come flying in there. It was just like a movie. Literally, just like a fucking movie. It was incredible. And then the bad news came, because the doctors were like, "Well, because you couldn't move at all. You couldn't move anything but your eyeball. One eyeball. Your other eyeball was staring off in somebody else's world. The other one was really hard for you to even hold still. That was one of the first things I started working on, was keeping your eyes still, focusing. It was, but they said that chances of you ever moving again were zero. Chances of you being all together inside that noodle were zero. And then remember, we still have to do more surgery, because you had a cluster of veins and stuff that from that a.v.m. I'm all technical with it now. a.v.m. that they were going to have to go in and put all this glue, I say glue and sawdust, shit up in there, stuff up in there to get it to be solid mass so that it didn't bleed when they cut it out. And that was going to be another big problem, because that was going to be a pretty good chunkier gray matter, I think, in the really sensitive region of your brain. If there isn't one, I don't know. I think it's all pretty sensitive when you go cutting chunks out of it. But just like the rest of the things that happen, it all worked out just fine. It just went away. They went in to do all this major surgery again on your brain. They got in there, and sure as heck, it was better. I mean, not, the cluster part. It wasn't. They weren't going to have to cut out any of your brain. They were able to just repair. And then they cleaned a lot of blood out that time too, out of your brain, and did some other stuff while they're in there. The technical stuff that I am not even anywhere near able to understand. Let's see. I mean, I understood at the time, but I understood what they're doing, and I still understand. Just, I'm not a doctor. Sure.
Papa pizza.
About what?
My head veins.
Oh, your veins? Do I know about them? Tell them about it?
Did they see it?
Did they see the miracle? I kept telling them. Huh? Did the doctor see the miracle?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was there. It truly was. You truly had a bunch of shit wrong in there. You did. It wasn't just a one thing. It was you had a problem. You had problems that you're not supposed to live through at all. There's no, I know I tell people this, but there is no chance of you being here. Scientifically, it's impractical. You're just a figment of our imagination.
Yeah. Some figment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to pinball.
But yeah, you had that locked in syndrome. I kept telling, okay, so sign language, Morse code, but you couldn't move your fingers or anything at the time. So, another thing, I had been playing music, different kinds of music and stuff, headphones, kept them in your ears, because I knew that with a stroke, and then they said a brainstem, that there would be problems. There may be memory problems. So, and you being in a coma, I didn't want you to stay in a coma. And I know from prior conversations and experiences that people in comas can hear. So, with you being in a coma, I wanted to make sure, because of your brainstem, I wanted to make sure that I was keeping things working. So I would talk to you, I would touch you, I would tell everybody who came in the room, I'd tell them about you. I'd tell you about you. And then I just prayed. Well, I just talked to God. I just kept telling him, if you opened your eyes, then I'd do the rest. All you had to do, just open your eyes. And another thing I did is I kept trying to wake you up like we were in bed. Hey, Cindy, time to get up. I gotta go to work. Hey, Cindy, get up. Nehemiah needs you. I did things like that. So that way I thought, well, it'll just pop you on.
Yeah, but
And it worked. Whatever. It was just everything. All the angels in the room. There was a lot of them. I could feel overwhelming, the calmness that they would bring to me. What do you remember about, do you remember being dead?
No, I remember seeing my son.
Right? Why don't you tell us about that?
What did I see in school?
Yeah.
The cultivated for almost 7 years.
Yeah.
And he told me to come home. Be with Andrea and Nehemiah. Because they needed me.
Yeah, I don't think they could have taken it. I don't. I did my best to make sure that they didn't lose you. I didn't think a lot about me.
They thought Nehemiah was my kid.
Yeah.
They said I look too young to be a grandma.
I know. Well, they never met young kids before then. Because that's how they're made. And usually when they're made. Yeah. What else do you remember?
I remember being locked up.
Yeah, they tied your hands up, put you in those things, those restraints. That upset me. You were pretty spicy when you woke up, though. I'm gonna skip way ahead but see, the first thing I got you to do when I knew it was all possible is when I got you to move this finger. You didn't move the whole finger at all. You just moved a little tip of your first finger, just a little tiny bit. And then we started working on that. We worked on that until they kicked me out that night. They not kick me out. They had out. It's the ICU. You can't just hang out 24/7 in the ICU. They have so many people working on you and you want to ask questions about what's going on. I tried very hard not to get into their job site, but I really wanted to know about their job. But at the same time, I tried to respect it. It's their job site. I don't know any of the rules, so I kept my questions to what I found to be the bare necessities of, like pressures in your skull and blood pressures and things. Just when things would change or not change, I'd want to know. Medicines, what the medicine would do. Is there any side effects, any drawbacks? And they kept me really informed, so that way I could make choices in things. Even if I didn't have a choice, they made it to where I feel like I did. They're pretty good to me.
They took me off all my meds.
They took you off all your meds?
You did.
Yeah, I've taken you off all your meds since you've been home from Rainier. Absolutely. Well, you take your anxiety med, which you absolutely need, but then your Zofranders and UTI meds. And then you get your pain meds when you need it. You don't get them every day like you used to at all. I haven't known none of that. There's natural ways to do it, and we are doing that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want to be hooked on pain pills?
No.
Would you rather do it the natural way or pain pills?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pain meds did was bring me down.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. When you're...
They didn't help me at all.
No. No, I think, and you had to have them while you're in, you're in the ICU for 94 days or 97 days. I can't remember now. You're on life support for 73 of those days. And then, but you still had tubes in your head and your skull, so they couldn't transfer you to another floor. But yeah, you were on, I think honestly that's a lot of the problem. I felt a lot of the problem was in you starting your rehabilitation while you're in the ICU, because I started it right away. I couldn't, if you don't use it, you lose it. And that's the truth. And behind stroke, I've always heard, if you don't start right away, in any injury, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you break your finger and don't ever use your finger is going to be in sad shape, and it's never going to work right again. And if it does, it's going to take you a long, long time. So,
Okay.
I just started working you out right away. Right away. You hated it. But yeah, because you're on so much meds, it kept you down. But at the same time, you're missing the back of your head. You know? You really need them. But when you got to the rehab facility, the hospital already has you on all these meds. So you got there and you were already on them all. And then I asked them to start lowering you down, and they did. And then when you got home, we're still on muscle relaxers and stuff, and there wasn't any good progress on that shit. There wasn't any.
Was it blood thinner?
Huh?
Blood thinner?
Oh yeah. Yeah, blood thinners and. But I didn't just take you off blood thinners. The doctor said it was okay. I didn't just take anything off without doctor's approval.
I was on a lot of meds.
You were on a lot of meds. A lot of meds. Now you're on, well, let's see, I can show everybody. This is just the vitamin wall. And then we have more vitamins. And plus for the yogurt, honey. Honey is good for breathing. It's good for your lungs. It's good for, well, it's just so good. It's honey. It's such a beautiful medicine. But it also promotes your gut and all the antibiotics shit you were on from the catheter. Yeah, we had to get rid of the catheter too.
Yeah.
That was a long process. I'll tell everybody how to do all that stuff later on. Because you can.
Take my drink out and the seat.
Yeah, they're taking her trach out June 9th, and We got a dietitian lined up with, well, down at speech, they're going to get us the dietitian. And then she's going to, or he, I'm not sure. I think she said she, didn't she? Didn't Cassidy say she? Anyway, there's a dietitian.
Yeah.
The human is going to help us get to where she can eat properly. She still don't have a cough at all, but she is gagged 12 times, so that means that reflex. And we're more now, yeah, huh? More. I'm stopped counting really because this is happening all the time. So the more it happens, the closer you get to having that back. Just takes some more work. Just more work. The work never seems to stop, does it?
Mm.
Yeah, then, so my part of it was I got you moving right away. That one finger, once I got that one finger to move a little bit, then the next day, Nehemiah and Andrea and Jacob and everybody, they were there. So I was like, I think I told Patty, and it might have just been Patty. At first, I told her, no, I told everybody you moved your finger. I did tell everybody you moved your finger. But then, when Nehemiah got there, Andrea, you moved your finger again for them. And that's when they should have break. Nehemiah is like, he knew it. He knew you were going to be okay. We both knew it. Once you moved that finger, I knew we could do it. I knew it. So, that's where we started.
Yeah.
Lots of music and lots of massaging. I would remind you, I would show you your muscles that you needed to move, talk to you about them, have you picture them in your mind, and then I would touch it. So that way your body would know what muscles I'm talking about. It can relate it, even though you're missing. What happened is because it killed